does. It's Peps, it's J-Dog, and that means it's the round 23 minus 1 review for the 2022 AFL season. We are back. It is going to be a bumper show. If Borat was here, all he could say after a cracking week on and off the field would be, wow, wow, wee, wah, sexy times. And we got the sexy times for you. Joining us tonight, as per always, he's the great man. He's known as the J-Dog. We know him as Jamie Wallis, the number 9 ranked Iron Man in the world, back in some time, which is not now. And I'm the host, Christopher Pepper, the host and the 377-game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club, and a very nervous Melbourne supporter heading in to a cracking round 23. But we'll get into all of that very shortly. We've got all the massive segments kicking in tonight. Around the grounds could be one of the biggest talking points we have had in a number of weeks. We are going to be spinning magnets. We're going to check out the ladder. We're looking at the rising star. We're going to have bags, you name it. Everything is here. If you're listening to us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Where have you been for the first 21 weeks? You've come just at the nice time, because just like a good wine, we are ripening at the right end of the season. Joining me tonight is the great man, Jamie Wallis. We missed you last week. I had to go hand solo. And I don't really like going hand solo in many different facets, my friend. But so it's great to have you back on the mic talking the great game of footy.
Did you say Han Solo or Han Solo?
It doesn't really matter whether you're from Adelaide or Melbourne, Han or Han, both. I had to go hand solo.
Han Solo. Okay.
Hand solo.
Peps, thank you. Yes, no, last week was kids were sick and all sorts of things, and unfortunately this show is we're not paid to do this, Peps. And no. It was
if you want to sponsor the show, just drop us a slide into my DMs. We'll mention your business on the show. We'd love to have you.
Slide into your Telegram because you're a dodgy mofo.
Yep. Hey, just really quickly jumping in, there's been an announcement on the Essendon coach. It's just gone live. Charlie Keegan has put his hand up to Coach Essendon.
On your kegs.
Hopefully that will be the low light of tonight's show. We're getting it out early.
All right. So, Peps, all good here. Kids are back and well. And, yeah, I'm back this week, Peps.
We're back. We're bad. You're crazy and I'm mad. And we love footy. What a cracking round 22. We'll get into the games and all that sort of stuff, but we will kick it off as per normal. Good weekend, I must have to ask, because, football, it was a good weekend for Port.
Great weekend for Port.
What was Rich's hats? Or AKA the 2012 Melbourne Football Club.
It was a good weekend, Peps. I went to a cheese bar. So it's something that obviously would have piqued your interest, being a Melbourne supporter. It was a cheese sushi, a cheese train. So like sushi train.
Mm-hmm.
This time I had cheeses and 20 different cheeses, and you could pick from different areas and whatever you like, Peps, and then drinks, and then you can have your hot foods, you can have your cheese pizzas, you can have your cheese toasties. Peps, it was an experience.
Oh, seriously, mate, you're living life on the edge, mate.
How was yours?
Mine, look, not bad. Friday night, great Friday night watching the footy. Interesting to see Max King. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I went to the footy on Saturday night. I had to go hand solo. Big Trev couldn't make it. He was crook, so I went in, sat second row in the MCC, non-alcoholic side of things, which was a change for me.
Where's that part?
My goodness grace. Pardon?
Where's that part?
So it's in the MCC.
Yeah.
Literally on centre wing, there's a bay where it's non-alcohol. So families never
that's right.
There.
Yep.
2 rows to the front. It was a great game. We stole victory from the jaws of defeat. Carlton will be shattered. Melbourne, we are ecstatic, but my goodness gracious. If that's what's going to happen this final series, it could be one for all time. I don't think it's going to top 2021, and in my eyes, nothing will. But it's just the way footy's going. It's not the greatest spectacle, let's be honest. It's not blowing our minds away what we're seeing, but I reckon from a games perspective, defences are going to win football games, defences are going to win finals, and defences are going to win flags. It's going to be interesting to sort of see how the next few weeks roll out.
How was your Sunday, Peps? What did you do Sunday?
Recovered. And watched the replay about 3 times.
You are a tragic.
Yep, we are a tragic. You've got to celebrate the wins. it made up for all the losses that I've been going through recently. So, hey, let's have a look at the ladder because we've got 1 week to go. And there's so many things that can transpire out of this ladder.
Is Port still a chance?
Port are still a chance to not make the 8. Yes. Okay. Geelong Cats sitting at 68 points. They've got the minor premiership. The McClellan Trophy is all theirs, 139%. This is where you can't fit 4 into 3. So Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Collingwood, all on 60 points right here. Melbourne play Brisbane this week. You've then got Fremantle, Richmond, and Carlton. Collingwood playing Carlton this week. Carlton win, they're in. Carlton lose, potentially they are out if the Western Bulldogs can get over their opponent this week.
Yeah.
St Kilda, they need a miracle. They need an absolute bloodbath. And who are they playing this weekend, Jamie? I think it's not exactly going to be an easy one for them.
Yeah, no.
No, exactly right. They're finishing off in the graveyard shift against the Swans. So unless they can cause a minor miracle.
150-point win, I think they need, or something like that.
Listen, all they need is for Ben King to kick straight and then a lot more on top of that. And then Port, no chance. Gold Coast, no chance. The sun has set on them. Hawks have flown the coop. The Crows are gone. Essendon, well, they're just blowing up themselves at the moment. GWS, they got slayed, unfortunately. And the West Coast Eagles and North Melbourne playing for the number 1 draft pick this week. And if you have a look at the games, who's going to go down by more? North play the Suns at Marvel, and then you've got West Coast playing the Cats. Oh, West Coast could be slotting in the number 1 draft pick just because they're playing Carlton. It's going to be massive. J-Dog, just throwing it out here. I know we do. I know we're getting into it a little bit later on, and we get into 1 week at a time and who we're looking forward to. But looking at the top 4, who makes it and who doesn't?
I am of the strong belief that Jesus. I said this was set 2 weeks ago. I said this is not going to move, and then Sydney have just jumped. Sydney got St Kilda. I don't see them losing that game. Melbourne, you guys have got Brisbane.
Yep, in Brisbane.
And then who's Collingwood got? Who's Collingwood got this week? Right.
Yes.
Okay, so
and then Essendon have got Richmond. Could you imagine if Essendon come out and smash Richmond?
And Freo on 58 points, aren't they?
Yep. And Freo, they've just got a nice casual one against the Giants.
Jesus. This is tough.
What do you reckon, listeners? What do you reckon your top 4 is going to be?
It stays for me.
Yep.
Or, no, I reckon you guys are going to drop out.
You reckon we're going to drop out?
Yeah, I reckon you'll lose, and I reckon Collingwood will win. Carlton will drop out. This is like my dream. Carlton. Collingwood will beat Carlton. Carlton will drop out. Western Bulldogs will defeat the Hawks, and I reckon they'll get in.
Who's going to get in?
Western Bulldogs will get in because they'll beat the Hawks.
Yep.
Carlton will drop out because they lose to Collingwood. And I reckon that's how it's going to play out.
Yep. Alrighty.
And Collingwood are going to be in the 4.
Yeah.
You guys are going to drop out because you guys are going to lose to the Brisbane Lions.
This is what I think. I reckon we might lose on Friday.
Yep.
But then,
no, you got to look at the draw as you're having this conversation.
Fremantle win against the GWS. They leapfrog every. Shit! We're going to beat Brisbane. That's it. No more talking about it. No more talking about it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Like
it's a great last round.
The listener question is simply this: who's going to be the top 4?
It's a great last round. It really is.
It's a. You know what? The AFL have been hammering for a final round like this. Last year, the 8 was set with weeks to go. It was mainly the top 2 positions. I know Melbourne and Geelong played out that cracker at GMHBA Stadium.
Yeah.
Game of the year and no one was there to see it. And like I said, it all starts Friday night. We've got the Lions versus the D's.
Well, they've been blessed this year, the AFL, because they had that game, they had that round where literally every team played the team just above them on the ladder.
Yeah, the final 8 played each other.
And then that was amazing.
Yep.
And then this final round really as you said, very little have we ever seen a top four that looks unset just yet. That doesn't happen.
Yep. Nothing like that at the moment, and it's going to be interesting to sort of see how things play out with a few rounds to go. All right, J-Dog, I reckon it's time to...
One round, my friend. One round.
Did I say a few rounds to go?
You did.
Oh, one round to go.
Don't upset the people.
We won't. All right. Hey, I reckon we just get these magnets, spin them quickly because it is a massive round of your bits and pieces. So I'm going to start off with a bit of barrage because I know we're going to end on a high because we're going to get into some negative stuff. So are you there, big boy?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
All right, let's get into the bad stuff, all right? So who's getting dragged this week? J-Dog, I don't know about you, but it just shits me. What year is it? It's 2022, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, 2022. Why is there still racial vilification from supporters against players? Are we that mentally retarded, mentally defunct that this stuff still happens? So if you haven't heard, another racial vilification of an Indigenous player, this time was Keziah Pickett after his match-winning goal versus Carlton. If you're listening to this right now and you were the person that did this, look, listen to your headphones. I'll put your hands over your ears as you listen. And if you're watching us live, look into the camera as I say this. If you are the bigot that went ahead and vilified Mr. Pickett, get yourself a pair of agates, get out behind the keyboard, drive down to Casey, where they're training, and go and say it to his face. Actually, I've got one better. Go and say it where in between Jake Melksham and Stephen May and see if you actually have the testicular fortitude to go out and say it again because it was absolutely disgraceful and you an absolute prick of an asshole. Have no time for you whatsoever. And if you actually say that this is the last time you ever listen to this show, great. Go back into the gutter from where you came from. Rightio. Next one. J-Dog, do you have anything to say about that?
No. I mean, dickheads live everywhere.
I know. Absolute dickheads. Rightio. Next one. Josh Kennedy from the Swans. He's not getting a farewell game. That sucks. To me, that absolutely sucks because he has been an absolute goldmine for the Swans ever since he came up from Hawthorn. We would have been great to have him have just one of those last hurrahs, even if he came off the bench, didn't do much. They're only playing St Kilda this week. He probably would have had 40 and kicked 6. So it's just a shame that one of Sydney's greats just doesn't get that farewell like a lot of the other players are getting or have had. So
where are they playing this week?
They're playing this week.
Down here.
Yep, down here.
They'll do something. They'll do something.
From Victoria originally, you know, he might have a cavalcade. He might be sitting in the back of a convertible.
They just can't. They can't afford to play, but also the fact that it's down there. He'll have something up here. He'll have something up in Sydney.
Yep. Well, anyway, next one is North Melbourne. Now, could they have their saviour in Alistair Clarkson ripped from their cold, dead hands by Essendon by the end of the week? They would have been sitting back going, how good is we going to get Clarko back? Clarko's going to bring in Hodgie. He's going to bring in X, Y, and Z. It's going to transform the club. We're going to be relevant again. And then Essendon decides to do what they did on the weekend and stink the joint up and potentially going to take it. So that's a shame. You know, by this time next week, we might have an answer who or where is going to Alistair Clarkson, where he'll be, who will be coaching, and the fallout from that as well.
What are your thoughts?
I would love to see him go to North.
North? Okay.
Yep. I can see him going to Essendon, and I can understand why. And I've got a few things to say about Essendon later on.
GWS have withdrawn their application for
Adam
him.
Uze will be going there.
Yeah. Apparently he blew them all away at his presentation.
Melbourne do that with their prezos. They blow everybody away. They blew Brady Grundy away last year, Adam Chera as well too.
Well, Grundy's something who's... I know we're going to talk about it later on in the show, but Grundy is on your radar.
Yeah, I know. Interesting. We'll see what happens.
3 ruckmans, Peps.
3 ruckman?
Yeah.
Who's the third one?
Brody Grundy, Luke Jackson
won't be in Melbourne next year. He'll be off 3 round or 4 first rounders we're getting for him. And the booing of Jack Ginnivan. Now, you reap what you sow, Jack. We spoke about this way back at the start of the season, okay? But it is pretty woeful, the booing coming from the Sydney crowd, considering everything they went through with Adam Goodes. It's same but different, if you know what I mean.
Definitely context when it comes to booing.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody says that the booing of Goodes was racially driven. You know, you can have that opinion. I don't think it was. I just think that people just didn't like him towards the end of his career. That's what I think. That's what I think, for various reasons. And Ginnivan's copying the same for all his head high, bleached hair, all that sort of stuff. Look at me with a GoPro after my first win. You know what? You're going to cop it. But Sydney, probably, you know, pulling a long blow, having a bit of a boo when everything else happened for one of your players. So we'll see that. But, hey, J-Dog, let's get into some good stuff, mate. I want to have a bit of a laugh.
Okay.
All right, 3 votes. Oh, by the way, 3 votes. First and foremost, 288. Do you know what that number means?
No, Peps. What does it mean?
Apparently, that's how many different combinations the top 8 of the AFL ladder could finish in by the end of this year. So the end of this weekend, 288 different combinations of how the top 8 are going to finish, potentially.
Okay. My brain can't compute that.
I just took that from some. Don't worry, I case studied that. Absolutely love it, what we did there. Okay. 10 teams have Mad Monday this weekend after the game. What's interesting, though, J-Dog, is there's actually going to be some players who put more effort and intensity into their costume than they did for the entire 23-round season.
Do you wish to name any clubs who be doing that?
Essendon. North, West Coast, GWS.
Yep.
Essendon. Port Adelaide. Oh, well, they didn't do anything for the first
No, we don't do Mad Monday anymore.
Don't you do Mad Monday anymore?
We don't.
Is that because there's just punch-ups or?
No, because of a certain Vegas trip.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, it's at one day, not a whole trip. Yeah. I know we can understand that one. Okay. And one other one, J-Dog, I have to celebrate, if you know what I mean. It is our favourite new anthem.
Was this played last week?
I played it last week.
Oh, my goodness. It's up there with Kappa.
Mate, we love bags, and the most overrated forward in the league, and I've said it since day dot this year, Tommy Lynch kicked 8 against the Hawks. Have you ever played a game, J-Dog, where you go one-on-one against a scarecrow or an art easel or one of those extended witches' hats? That's what he was playing against. He was playing against a guy, I think it was his 3rd or 4th game. He got absolutely taken to the cleaners. So, Lynchy, yes, you kicked 8 goals, fantastic, but you were basically playing on a kid. Like
what? Don't start. You can't pump up your own segment and then someone kicks 8 and you're just trying to bring the player down, Peps. You can't do that.
No. It's great that he kicked 8, but it's Tom Lynch. But you know what? You can't go wrong when you hear this. Gotta love some bags.
It's definitely something.
Let's go. Hey, I tell you what, people have asked when's this going to be released on iTunes. Yeah. Probably never.
Peps, who's gonna wrap up the Coleman this year? Charlie Curnow?
Charlie.
62.
Yeah, Charlie.
Jeremy Cameron?
Yeah. He got pettied
59.
on the weekend.
Hawkins? 55.
Hawkins
Lynch?
is going to have to
55.
Nah, they're going to have to kick 6s, 7s this week. Oh, they're playing West Coast. Hawkins might be a chance.
Or Cameron.
I think the way that I'm looking at it, though, I think Charlie's got it. Harry's out.
Harry who?
Mackay. I don't think he'll kick it.
No, he's not anywhere near it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And Cameron's got a hammy, so he's going to be out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part I know that everybody gets excited for. It's the part where we go and have a chat to the number one newsbreaker. Now, we're not talking about Damo. We're not talking about good old Tommy Morris. We're not talking about Steve-O or anybody else. We're going over to the great man, Jamie the J-Dog Wallis, and that simply means it's...
It's time for Around the Grounds with Laceout's number one newsbreaker, Jamie Wallis. Over to you, big fella.
Now, Jadon.
Yes, my friend.
Before you get into the first one, which is the story that's taking it over everything that we've spoken about so far.
Yes.
We're going to have to launch with a bit of something. Now, we know I'm going to go with this because it is literally it's bombs away, destruction at the hangar. Go for a big guy. Tell us what's been going on about Ben Rutton and the history about what's going on. If you've been living under a rock, everybody, Essendon are in some turmoil.
Yes.
Something different. All righty.
So, after Essendon's complete capitulation against Port Adelaide on Sunday, going down to the tune of 80-something points, 2 in a row. It's been a season of absolute woe for the Essendon Football Club. Rarely a bright moment, but probably you can extend that out to the last 3 to 15 years if you really wanted to look at it that way.
Yeah.
What transpired on Monday morning was a little bit nuts. My phone was blowing up. Your phone was the same. I'm sure that all footy supporters were starting to get messages that we've got the president has been tipped out. Rutton has been given his marching orders from the Bombers, and all of a sudden it became, maybe Rutton, maybe something's going on here. Maybe they've made a move so aggressively so early because they know something. Maybe Clarkson is a little bit interested in this club. So then the day was rolling along. Okay, another coach out. We're trying to find a coach replacement. And then all the names started coming up again. You're talking about, the Ken Hinkleys and who's going where and what could happen there and the permutations of coaching shuffles. And then at about 3 o'clock, a message came out. Rutton hasn't been sacked. No one said he's been sacked. And as far as he's concerned, he is still the coach of the Bombers. And
not just for this year. For next year as well.
So it all got a bit strange. But then, once we all know, and Essendon this year have done an internal review, which then turned into be an external review because they said they couldn't be handled internal. We know that external reviews for coaches don't tend to be something they walk away from with their job by the end of the year or by the end of that review period.
Yep.
The question remains, what the hell is going on with Rutton? Where does Clarkson fit in this one here? Where does North go to if they lose Clarkson? And what's next? What's next for this club?
All right, so let's go through a few of the things that we actually know. All right, let's start with Rutton. So he's had 43 games at the helm. Now, we're not counting
his assistant stuff.
The assistant stuff where he was pretty much in control from when Worsfold took over. Okay, in that last season. So he's had a record of 17 and 26 at 39%, a best result of a qualifying final, all right? We know he started in 2021, so he's had 2 years, but that John Worsfold season, the sentiment was that he was holding the reins while Worsfold was still there.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Do you consider Rutton a 2-year coach or a 3-year coach?
2.
Okay, yep. I do too. I think it's 2 years as well.
It'd be the same as looking at what Goodwin did under Roos. I know that in that last year where Roos was coaching, Goodwin had his hands all over that game plan, etc. But it was under Roos's name.
Yeah.
Because you have to, all right? There was lots of optimism going into round one. I remember I was down at the Lake Epilot Caravan Park with the boys on Saturday. We hooked up the KO to the Caravan, the Caravan Park's plasma. We put on the footy for the Geelong game versus the Essendon Bombers, and I think within the first quarter, I think they came out and kicked 8 goals or something to 0. It was a shocker. They got beaten by 66 points. And I saw a couple of Essendon supporters just go absolutely bonkers, like, what's happening? Again, and again.
Yeah.
You fast forward 22 more weeks and then you get into the 21 weeks, you get to the GWS loss after comments made by McVeigh against his own team, and they've come out and beat them by 27. So GWS should have completely fizzed. Essendon had actually built a couple of games of confidence. Like we said, it was a bit of a false economy because they've done that over the last number of years, and they've fallen over by 24. Then they play at their home hangar. They put their nice little banners up for the Lloyd end. and, the other end, the Coleman end or whatever it is, and they got pumped by Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide by 84 points. They were – now, I turned that game on for, I reckon, maybe 10, 15 minutes just to see what was happening. And funny enough, it was the last quarter. I don't think I've ever seen a team that bad outside of my own being beaten by Essendon by 140 points or the 186. There was also that game where Richmond got pumped by Geelong. Do you remember that many, many moons ago? I think that happened at Etihad as well too. Or Etihad or they were woeful. Absolutely woeful. They wanted an internal club review. Everybody said do an external one because what's an internal review? Oh, what, you've been a bad guy? They're not going to pick anything else out. Yeah. But no, they
ran by internal Essendon people.
Oh, Sheedy, Wellman, and Simon Madden. No bias at all right there. Then they got the board meeting. So Paul Brasher resigns as president and David Barham's going to be looking in. Brasher was
Monday morning, gone.
Yep. Barham
comes in.
Yep. He doesn't want Rutton. Brasher backed Rutton.
Yep.
So that was where a bit of the split was going. All right. Now, my WhatsApp and Twitter was going off. I dead set thought I was in sexy land because all I felt was there was vibrations going on everywhere. I had to pick my phone up and it was just vibrating nuts. Been sacked, he's gone, etc. It's like, oh, geez, they didn't hold back. They didn't hold back on this one. We could see it was happening, but we didn't know it was going to be this week. Then Alistair Clarkson, who looks up to be taking the North Melbourne seat, suddenly is now Essendon's number one target. They've, as they would say, chips all in. Rutton coached the team at training today for their final game against Richmond this Saturday. We know about that. He still is the coach for next year. CEO Xavier Campbell has backed him as their coach and admitted there'll be further board meetings this week.
Mm-hmm.
This is dead man walking. The only thing is, what's missing? The players along the corrugated walls with their tins along the corrugated walls saying dead man walking. That's the only thing missing from this scenario as well. So, J-Dog, can I run some things by you?
Please do.
Right? So here are some thoughts, and I want to hear your opinion. So this club have not won a final. It's 18 years.
Correct.
All right?
Tick.
All right. Essendon are irrelevant as a Big Four team.
They're relevant as a club in the AFL.
As a club and also as a Big Four team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, outside of Sydney, at the current moment, from what I've read, is they've got 88,000 members. Now, they sit fourth behind West Coast to a first, Richmond and Collingwood in second and third place.
Yeah.
Right? So they've got members. So they've got the members who support them big time, but the club is irrelevant. All right? They're not a Big Four team. You've just got a big supporter base. There's a big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
They're still living in the Sheedy era. If I have to hear one more time, it's the Baby Bombers again. Baby Bombers was 93. You won a flag in 2000 and lost a grand final in 2001. You did have some success there, but you're still reverting back to something which will be 30 years next year.
Yeah.
Right? And they still rely on him as being part of the review of the club. He's, I think, on the board, the promotion of the place as well, and he also has too much to say as well. So they're still having him being the face of the club, even though he has left Essendon to go and coach somewhere else. So there's no new face of the place, all right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't pronounce this one. Their coterie groups are highly influential at the club.
Yep. Same as North.
Yep, same. Oh, no, I think they'd be worse at
for sure. But I'm talking about supporter groups of influence having more influence at a footy club than they should have.
Yeah, and they're almost infighting between themselves as well.
Yep.
And the supporters, and don't tell me anything different about this, but the supporters don't like outsiders. Knights didn't like him. Worsfold, as soon as things started to go downhill, you jumped and kicked him out quickly. And Rutton, regardless of any success they ever had, regardless of their performance, they were never given a go. Yep. This club is a sham at the moment. You're not a destination place. And if I said to you, who's had the worst season, Essendon or North, who would you say?
I would say, I'd say they're equal.
No, I highly disagree with you on that one. Highly disagree. Did anybody pick North to make finals this year?
No.
Did anybody pick Essendon to make finals this year?
No. Oh,
I did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
That says this. They've got a list that's really exciting. They've got some really good kids on that list. What's gone wrong, J-Dog? What has gone wrong?
This is the question you have to ask yourself. If you're in the AFL, and we talk about, being the most irrelevant club in the AFL for the best part of 20 years now, here's my one question that will just make you think about it. When was the last time we ever spoke about Essendon Football Club in a football capacity?
I don't think
making
we have,
news
buddy.
for 20 years. We haven't. We've spoken about every other thing that Essendon seems to bring to the headlines, but it's never about their brand of football.
No, I think we spoke about them at the start of the year when Nick Martin came out of nowhere and kicked 5 on debut and played a blinder. Outside of that, we've talked about the package a few times. 2 metre Peter playing okay. But it hasn't been, did you see Essendon on the weekend? How good were they? Defensively, they're the worst team in the league. They're number 18 for tackles as well. So they don't put any pressure on you.
Yeah.
We saw it on the weekend. I've never seen a team move a ball so easily against an AFL. I didn't say AFL standard, but AFL team like they did on the weekend.
Yeah. So then, okay, so let's now, we've beaten Essendon up. And I mean, what else do you have to say about that, really? As you said, potential dead man walking. He seemed to have him tied to the ex-president. That has now, that raft has now gone.
Yep.
If Alistair Clarkson does decide to come to Essendon, what do North do?
I would have no idea.
Is Ken Hinkley still gettable?
You know what? To the point, Jamie, I had them locked in for Clarkson. I haven't even thought about anyone else.
Is Hinkley gettable?
I think if North said, would you take this up? We're willing to give you X amount. I reckon he'd take it. Yeah. Ross Lyon, would he be keen to go?
There are coaches out there who would be keen. I mean, Hinkley would be someone perfect. He's got 1 year guaranteed on his contract. He's under so much stress and pressure next year to perform because if he doesn't, he's not going to get a contract extension. If North come to him with a 3 or 4 year deal, $700,000 a year,
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
There's something in that. The other thing that you got to look at, Jamie, is now if Clarkson comes in, he'll want his own squad there.
Oh yeah, it's coming with a full sweep.
But we're not. No. We're not just talking about. We're not just talking about. One of the guys on here, Lee Moss. He's over in Perth at the moment. Mossy, love your work, champ. Locking Clarkson, Hodge, and Solomon to be his assistants. Well, see, another thing there, you're bringing in another old Essendon bloke again. Like, get rid of your Essendon love. Just Melbourne did that for years and didn't get us anywhere. And what we had to do is we didn't just cut the cancer out. We had to cut the whole arm off. We were a travesty, and we went from the top down. Peter Jackson came in, reset the club. Ruse came in, reset the on-field performance. We changed all these systems. Everything went out the door. Now, can you honestly look me in the eye and tell me with the love these coterie groups have for Adrian Dodoro, have for Xavier Campbell. Can you honestly see those guys getting the slice and dice?
Yeah, I agree. You go deeper. You can look at all the fitness staff. We've had Essendon once again have suffered huge soft tissue injuries. Jake Stringer's been injured. Kyle Langford's been injured. Dylan Shields been re-injured. Archie Perkins has had soft tissue. James Stewart, Will Snelling has had a hamstring go again. Darcy Parish, they have missed chunks of this season with soft tissue injuries.
Is it they don't work hard enough?
I think.
Were they danking? I'm kidding. But that's too much of a coincidence, Jamie.
But we've spoken about Essendon soft tissue before.
The stadium, the ground is a lot harder, takes more out of your body. Can I just read something out? One of our loyal followers, old Justin Parker, old JP, absolute superstar, played in a cricket grand final with him. We won.
You have won a premiership.
Yeah, I've won 5 cricket ones. I just haven't won any footy. Made tons into them. Look how Carlton have done since they made changes such as Brian Cook. They were absolutely knackered. Essendon need to make changes off the field and few on it. I agree. You need to come in and get rid of everybody and start from scratch again. The club is being led bad, and like I've said, Jamie, if you don't get it right off field, you're not going to get it right on field. Their off field is a sham.
Yep. And Essendon have never really gone down a full rebuild, have they? Ever?
No, the only thing that came close was the supplement saga. We've even got Craigie Wessels joining us all the way from USA right now, and he's saying exactly that North Melbourne have had a better season than Essendon, based on expectations, squad, etc. as well too. There's something definitely wrong, and it's going to be interesting over the next couple of days to see how this plays out. One of the comments made on the chat was that apparently North have given Clarkson 24 hours for a response because they've obviously spoken to him beforehand. They can't sit on their hands. Personally, I'd go to North because if you think about it, North at the moment, they don't even have a recruiting list manager. Remember how they had all those losses?
Yeah, they had three. They got three, gone.
So Clarkson can basically walk in and go, here's my guys, bang, there's my recruitment team.
Yeah.
Can you see him going to Doro, see you later? There's going to be a lot more in that.
Well, if this, what's that word? I can't remember the correct terminology, but this is the fork in the road that Essendon have to face now.
Yep.
Do they continue?
It's the line in the sand, big boy.
Do they continue down a path that they've been down for 20 years, or this is where they start to really look at sweeping the boards, sweeping the back office of all those teams and squads that are player-related, fitness, recruiting, all of that gone.
Yeah.
And they start again.
Yep.
And maybe they've made a commitment to Clarkson saying, if you come, we will sweep, we will clean house, and you can have the run. The same promise that North have probably made as well.
So you would be a bit young for this, but the early 80s Essendon team, ruthless.
Yep.
That 2000s Essendon, early 2000s, ruthless. When was the last time we've actually said that about Essendon where they were ruthless? Scary on the field and scary off it.
Yeah.
Nothing at the moment too. So this isn't the Essendon show, but it's just been the biggest story to come out in the last 24 hours. Like it's massive in a number of facets, and it's going to affect a number of people as well.
Well, it's probably the biggest coaching sacking that we've had this year. Like I know we had Noble, but that writing was on the wall. This one here, unless you were and every supporter base when they're losing are unhappy. Port Adelaide supporters are very unhappy right now with the Ken Hinkley 1 more year commitment. Melbourne have probably gone through this thing with Goodwin saying the same thing. Far out why we got Goodwin for. He's won us a premiership. That's great. Well done for you guys. But a losing supporter base is never happy with their coach. But this one here, I think, has sent permutations through the AFL with what could happen next.
Exactly right. And you know what? Once again, you brought it up, so I'll quickly. But from a Goodwin perspective, what Melbourne supporters are really frustrated with at the moment is our predictability and our lack of creativity, which is going to be something I'm going to mention about one of the games on the weekend, which just did the complete opposite of what we do.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into that in a moment. The Patrick Cripps Tribunal saga from last week. All right. Yeah, exactly. Huh. But how did you see it, J-Dog, with the fact that it was just another example of the AFL shitting the bed when it comes to rules and the practices of the MRO, the tribunal, the appeals process? Thoughts on how all that went down? And also throw in there that the head is sacrosanct.
I don't know what else I can say, Peps, to you or to our listeners that I haven't said before. I don't agree with this necessarily, but we have been told for so long that, as you said, the head is sacrosanct, except for when the AFL decide that it's not, and then you're sort of left with your hands up going, I don't know the rules anymore. I don't know the rules.
This game was so easy to follow. Why have we made it so hard?
I agree.
Why is it at the start of the year a rule is interpreted one way? Everything is about interpretations. You need to take the interpretation out of it. That's the problem.
And Peps, we've spoken about the repercussion as well. there was a concussion with this incident. There's other ones that haven't been concussed.
Yep.
And yet one gets off and one gets off for 2 weeks. I don't want to talk about... It's 9:13 in Victoria here. Let's not talk about it for any more longer than 20 more seconds.
No, we don't.
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Can I just bring this up perfectly? So Zane
Sure.
Cordy went to the tribunal this weekend.
Yes.
He got off, which he should have got off because
Yes.
it was a bump. He didn't make contact with the head, but the guy got concussed.
Correct.
And the AFL had to go, well, we're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here because he didn't actually cause the concussion. But if this comes back to bite us on the ass, we have to show that we did something about it. So that's why they sent it to the tribunal.
Yeah.
Shocking. Hey, J-Dog, I want to ask you about your mob. David Koch came out and is adamant Ken Hinkley is your coach for 2023. All right?
Yep.
So you're going to miss finals after a prelim in 2021, just like the Dogs.
Yes, Dogs grand final.
Yep. He's got a 58% winning record.
Not bad.
223 games, 130 wins, 93 losses for his career. It's 45% for this year. But the 2 years before that, though, 75% in 2021 and 78% in 2020.
Yep.
And so you got the max. So where do you sit with this and what do you want? And I know Craigie Jones is on here as well too, massive Port supporter, the best fedora in AFL, bar none. Where do you sit on this with Ken?
I've been a time to change, and it's not against Ken. It's a time for change for the club. I think Ken has got this club to as far as it can possibly get in the final situation, and given our list age and profile, I don't think that it is unrealistic to ask for a new coach and a new message.
Yep.
In saying that, we simply can't afford to lose 650K out of our cap to pay out a coach. We simply can't afford that. And I don't think there'd be many clubs who could afford to pay that other than the big ones like maybe yourselves, Essendon, Collingwood, and Hawthorn, and West Coast. So this year, I think let's just chalk this year down to having a list that was injured from game one. We've had no ruckman all season. We know what that can do. We've had to play Finlayson and Dixon and those in there.
He's been all right on the ball since he's taken it.
This is the question now. By doing that move, what does Scott Lycett look like when he comes back for 2022? Because Finlayson has given us, I think we're probably more of adapted the Cats model. The Cats haven't had a dedicated ruckman now for the best part of 10 years. But what they do have is a bloke who can get up in the ruck, but also be effective around the ground, in front of goals, in the midfield, wing, wherever you need them. Probably similar to what Melbourne have got with Gawn, but Gawn is far more mobile and is a specialist ruckman. So has Ken deserved another year in his contract? I have to say yes. I don't see how we could... We're not in the race for Clarkson. We probably never are, and we can't afford to pay that much for a coach. Ken has one more year and we've committed to. I think we cannot afford to pay that contract out. And so let's just see where next year goes. I think if you look at it, Collingwood have won how many games now by less than a goal? Less than 2 goals? 10?
10, I think it was, yeah.
Port have done the same but lost them.
Well, you've got a better percentage than them.
So
the other thing, J-Dog, you lost your first 5 games. Since then, you've actually gone 9-7, but within that block of 7, you had 4 weeks of losses.
Yeah.
So you weren't bad. Yeah, you had some tough ones along the way, and I think you might have been hit with some injuries there. But you still finished with that start above another 7 teams at this moment in time.
As I said, you know me, I'm a Ken out, but I also understand that this year has been a bit of a shit year, and sometimes clubs have that. And that's okay. That's fine.
Where do you want to go? Richmond had a bad year. Collingwood have had a bad year after success. Melbourne had a bad year after success. The Bulldogs have had a bad year after success. It just happens. It does happen. Also, the draw has a fair bit to do with it as well too, and that's one of the inaccuracies with the ladder at the moment is that there's a couple of teams sitting high on the ladder that have played North twice.
Yeah, who finished 17th, 15th last year and are now sitting top 4.
It's not right.
Anyway, Peps, right. But that's that. What else on the news, Peps? What else is going on in the news? Because We've gone quite deep in this show.
Yeah, we've gone deep. We've gone into your loins. Look, let's have a quick chat over the games. We're not going to go into them too much. Just tell me your thoughts on it. The Lions over the Saints by 15 points on the weekend. I think the big story to come out of this, once again, we could talk about this one for another 20 minutes, was the whole Max King out there. The whole Max King debacle. And it was just another situation of the Saints throwing away another win. Yep. But they showed footage of the 5 kicks that Max King did, and I reckon by the 4th one, I was really feeling sorry for the bloke. He just wanted to get that ground to swallow him up because nothing was working for him.
Mm-mm. And
you got to remember, he had a bad start, and then he had that streak where he couldn't miss at all. It was something like 28-9, 28-8. It was a massive disparity for goals for points. Now he's gone the complete other way. And the fact that the egos at St Kilda go, you know what, we don't need any help. So be it. There's another club not saying, hey, you know what, we need help. Check the ego in at the door. We need your help. Can you do it?
It was embarrassing seeing Rutton say what he said. That was embarrassing.
Yep.
He's got no issues. We're fine here. We're all got, he's supported. He's got this. There's no issue there with his kicking.
There's another club whose supporters are hanging for him to move on, but they just signed him up for another 2 years when they had that run of 8-3 at the start of the year.
And for those who do you know what I love, Peps, in this world? And we're not this, and I accept that for our little humble podcast here. But I absolutely love hearing experts talk about what their field is. Hearing Matthew Lloyd talk about the goal kicking issues that Max King has on the Sunday football show, magic. He broke it down so simply. Needs more speed on his run up, and that will fix a lot of his issues.
Stop spinning the ball better. And then you watch someone like Tex Walker, watch someone like Bailey Fritsch, you watch somebody like Mason Cox. I'm not a big fan of the Yank anyway, but he's just got a simple, momentum-driven goal-kicking action.
Little skip at the end. Yep. But I was like, shit. Lloydie can see this. Just that one tip. Yep. Run a little bit faster on your kick-in. Take momentum through it. Don't lean back. And I was like, damn, I love seeing experts talk about this sort of stuff.
Yep. Awesome.
Anyway, so St Kilda are out because of it. St Kilda are out because of it.
Yeah. But they are. They would have won that game.
Yeah.
And you stuffed up our chances for a top 4 because of that, St Kilda, so get stuffed. Bulldogs by GWS by 5 points. Really dead rubber. I know it keeps the doggies in there with a chance to make finals. But GWS, they had a crack. Not really much to come out of this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
There wasn't any news. There wasn't anything major to come out of it. There was other games. Adelaide over North by 29. Adelaide actually have been probably a little bit better, I reckon, than I thought they would. I reckon that they're not going too bad. Darcy Fogarty. Can I also say one thing, J-Dog? If I have to hear that somebody else has another coming out party, because apparently whenever you play well for the first time in all season, it's your coming out party. Ugle Hagen, Fogarty. Come on, man. Ash Johnson from Collingwood. Colin coming out party. I'm sick of these coming out parties. Just perform week in, week out, can you, for God's sake. But yeah, they're going all right this moment. And Adelaide and North had a crack. That's all you can ask for. They have a crack. And they're doing that as well too. I'm
not convinced on the Crows. I think their rebuild's probably stalled a little bit.
But they're fitter. That's it. Darren Burgess effect, mate. It's massive. Trust me, Jake. Cats by 60 over the Suns. Disappointing end. Yeah, that's it, J-Dog. Suns. Just a disappointing. I really had high hopes that they would play finals, but their last month has been pretty average, and average is probably putting it in a good position because it's. And good to see, and also good to see the Cats playing the big teams down at GMHBA Stadium as well.
Wow. Suns. I mean, what are we going to talk about here, Peps? What have been in the AFL since what now? 2010? 2011?
Yeah.
No finals appearance.
That's right. So be it, Jamie. So be it. They got
10 plus years.
Jamie,
okay. All right.
They got their mix wrong at the start. They've been pillar to post of all their players as well.
They're going to lose another one.
Consistency.
They're going to lose another one.
Rankin's not going to.
Rankin's going. $4 million.
What a waste. What a waste. Where's he going to go? Adelaide?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Money.
Yeah, money. Let's see how it goes. D's by 5 over Carlton. I was at this game.
Great
Talk
game.
about with 3 minutes to go, that's it, season's over. Stuff this. I'm going to take up coins. And then 3 minutes later, just going absolutely. I felt sorry for the Carlton supporters for about 3 seconds after the siren. Then I just went ape shit because it was grouse because they were crying. No, it was sad. They played really well. Harry Mackay, he just got back to his best. Melbourne have issues down their forward line. And what I was going to say, Jay, also is their issues are they're too predictable.
No.
And there's another team I'm going to mention very, very shortly. Actually, I'll mention them now. The Sydney Swans by 27 points over the Pies. They break the streak of 11. That's a guy, John Longmire, who I wish we had at our club. Because what he does is he isn't stubborn and plays the same way. He adapts the game style depending on the opponent. But the total horses for courses, you know what we're going to do? We're going to tag. We tag. We'll tag Nick Dacos. You know what? They love going through the middle of the ground. We're actually going to spread out a little bit so they can't go down there.
Yeah.
Like they adapt and they change the way that they play every single time. You never play the same Sydney Swans twice. I've told you, J-Dog, get your shot glass out, and every time Melbourne kick to the left-hand side of the screen from a kick out, take a shot. Every time Melbourne bomb it into the 50, take a shot. It's so predictable. Even my kids go, Dad, are they going left again? That's where my concern is that I'm not seeing – we were so run and gun for the first 10 weeks and we stopped it for whatever reason. That's where I'm a bit peeved at the moment.
Well, Longmire's just...
I see what Sydney do. They just adapt, and that's why they're my state. They will play in the grand final versus Geelong. I said it how many weeks ago, J-Dog?
You did?
I did. They're peaking, man. They've got so many bright sparks. Unbelievable. Yeah.
11 years as the coach of that club, and I reckon I've seen about 3 or 4 different Sydney teams roll through there.
They're just unbelievable.
From brutal midfields to run and gun football to defensive lockdown. He has put so many game plans on that squad, and they are the all-terrain football club. They can do it all.
But you know what they also remind me of, J-Dog? They never seem to have a bad player come into that team.
Rarely.
Rarely.
Except for Tippett.
Except Tippett. But no one seems to be a bad option when they come in. They don't hide. Like, everybody contributes.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of them, to be honest. I am in awe of them. And the success that they've had, unbelievable. Freo by 24 over the Eagles. It was a bit of a stoushy one, this one. It was got a bit physical. Lots of fines went to the AFL end of season fund handed out.
I saw a triple 50.
A triple 50. I've seen doubles this year. I haven't seen a tripper. Tripper. I haven't seen a tripper.
Triple 50, Peps.
Who gave it away, do you know?
It was a bloke that got... Who was the exchange for Carlton and Sarah? Who was that one? Or Chera? I don't know. Anyway, on the wing, jersey ripped. He went and hit 2 other blokes.
Yep.
And yeah, basically went from centre wing all the way to the goal square. Triple 50.
All the way to the car park.
Triple 50.
Triple 50. It
was great.
He's imagine the fine he's going to have for the players trip for that one.
Sarong. Was it Caleb Sarong?
Nah.
I think it might have been. He literally he gave away a 50 and then he hit 2 more blokes. High.
Pinballed them. But it was a lot of scrap. And David Mundy, I think, played his last game as well too. So absolute gun of a bloke. And we mentioned this one as well too. Oh, the Tigers by 61 over the Hawks.
Comfortable.
Don't get, you're playing. A few people ringing in saying Sam Mitchell loves beating up on the small minnows but doesn't do anything against the good teams. Interesting point I've heard a couple of times already. And we've spoken about Port over Essendon that you just played.
And what about Sydney over Collingwood? Just amazing.
We just went through that. We talked about how
I know. They're just amazing.
They're just amazing. Just love them. I love everything they do about them. And I like and understand why a couple of the boys, Scotty and Louie, big fans of the show, are a little bit excited by the Sydney mob at the moment as well too. Hey, you know who's excited right now, J-Dog?
Who's that, Peps?
Marcus Windhager, because he is the round 22 NAB Rising Star for this week.
Tell me about him, Peps.
His debut in the round 4 win against the Hawks, and he's played 17 of possible 21 games. He was terrific, this 19-year-old superstar, against the Brisbane Brownlow medalist, keeping him to a season-low 16 possessions while racking up 21 of his own in a very impressive display. So,
decent.
Big fella, well done. Once again, everybody's just going for the free lunch because Nick Dacos has it in the bag. All righty. J-Dog, we know we love a bit of this. We know we love a bit of...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Dollar bills. Ching, 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 chicken wings. All right.
Make sure, Peps, there's some time for a bit of question feedback at the end of this session.
Yeah,
We've got some questions coming through.
Yeah, there is. There is no update for Splash the Cash this week.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
Because he's coming to Port.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Apparently, Craig Jones is saying that Cozzy Pickett's coming to Port Adelaide. He wants to go to a team of the future. So he's staying where he is. But anyway, look, there's nothing new here. There'll be a big update from last week, and nothing has really changed. Everything's
Grundy's going to Melbourne. Oh, it's all happening.
That's all stuff that we mentioned last week. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait a little bit of time until after the final game, so stay tuned. But we did get to play the theme song, so awesome for you. Rightio. J-Dog, some of the questions that have been thrown out. Craigie Jones, will Geelong go out in straight sets this year?
No. I think they're the real deal.
Thoughts on the $100,000 fine?
What do you think, Geelong? Straight sets or not straight sets?
I don't trust them.
Still think straight sets?
I don't think they're going to go Sam Stozer, but it could be 2 sets to 1.
Okay.
Look, they should romp it in, but we've seen strange things happen on preliminary final weekend. Thoughts on Sydney's $100,000 fine for COVID breaches?
Yes. So this one here, I don't know if people have seen this news, but they were apparently is fraudulent COVID results the right? Is that too strong, Peps?
Just say it. No one's bringing down this podcast because we're lace out and we tell you how it is. We're the late night AFL show that only the rebels listen to.
Some interesting COVID results for their players. So, players negative, positive, not necessarily telling the AFL about it.
But why? But here's the thing I don't understand. Why do you give them $100,000 fine, but only 50 of it is applied to the cap next year? Why don't just make it a $50,000 fine?
Well, it's not just Sydney. It's St Kilda, Richmond, Brisbane, and Collingwood as well.
But they will have 50 grand with 25.
Yeah.
But why have a $100,000 fine and give them only 50% of it in the? It's just another one of those stupid AFL things that no one ever pays the suspended fine again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. They weren't undertaking the rat tests in specified time periods. They also weren't uploading the images of those rat tests taken by a person or someone else. So,
that's dodgy. Nah, they should be kicked out of the league. There's more evidence on their dodgies than what Essendon provided.
Well,
and they got kicked out.
$50,000 as someone's soft cap. That is a big chunk of someone's wage next year. Let's hope it's not the little media person.
Nah, little Johnny won't be able to do his YouTube videos on MySpace and all that sort of stuff as well too. Hey, if Clarkson comes in, can you see Dodoro getting the boot?
I can see Dodoro getting the boot regardless.
J-Dog's gone strong there. Mm-hmm. Very strong. All righty. One last question for you. If you could be in the boots of any of these 4 clubs next year and coach them, who would you take? Would you take North Melbourne, West Coast, GWS, or Port Adelaide? I'm not including Essendon because we know that they're gone. If you could
I'd take Port. I'd take Port.
Take Port? Okay.
Way more upside than any of those clubs.
Awesome.
How about you, Pep? What would you do? Because Adam Simpson, we didn't talk about Adam Simpson, but he's apparently also been linked to the North job as well, potentially if Clarkson falls through.
So the way I look at this, GWS have got way too much money in their top-end players, Cornelio.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they've got hurt for the next 3 or 4 years.
You've got nothing.
Big hurt for that club.
So you've got no results for 2 years, which sucks. West Coast, they're finished. They need a clean out, big time.
Yeah.
North Melbourne, they've got some upside, and you're going to get draft picks in.
And they've got cash to buy players if you want to.
As well too. I'd go North.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go North, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Port Adelaide, I just don't want to live in Adelaide.
You would love that. I reckon you're the Adelaide kind of bloke. Walk down the street there with your little mocha or something, saying good day to all the shop owners along the terraces there. Yeah, you'd love it, Peps. You'd love it.
Hey, big boy, 1 week at a time for you. Actually, the listener question for this week will be, and we mentioned it earlier in the show, is who is going to be the top 4 after round 23. So pick your top 4. Tell us who it's going to be. Doesn't have to be in order. And last but not least, J-Dog, 1 week at a time. What's the game or games that you're looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to Friday night. Your team versus the Lions. I think that's going to be a ripper. And just to round out the whole thing, I'm also looking forward to the Carlton Collingwood game.
Yeah, the two that I've picked exactly right. These Lions is going to be a belter because we know what's up for that one, and the Pies and the Blues is going to be up for that one as well too. So
sold out. Is that one sold out so far? I think that game's sold out.
It's going to be close. Look, if I've got nothing on and I can get a leave pass, I might even go.
Yeah?
Yeah. And see that because that'll be an absolute cracking game.
You better buff your Aaron Williams, mate. Your Aaron Williams looking disgusting these days.
I take your teeth out as well too. Hey, listeners, what a cracking episode. So, once again, even though we've got a couple of weeks, we're heading into finals. That's where we do our best work. Tonight was a cracking episode, but finals time is when the cream rises to the top and we are the froth on your cappuccino. So make sure to tune in. Leave a message on the Facebook page. Ask us any questions. We will answer them next week. And also remember, we will be heading in this week. We didn't do it last week, so apologies if you're still at home waiting for last week's tipped out episode. We will be back this week. More importantly, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us, everybody live. You're an absolute bunch of superstars. J-Dog, you are the amazing man. So I am Chris Pepper. I've got the co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis, and big fella, for everybody who's going to like and subscribe to the podcast, how do we tell them how you want your footy?
I want it to lace out.
And so do I. Hope your team wins this week. It's going to be the best round 23 of AFL football we've had this year. And I hope your team wins. Unless you're Brisbane, I hope you win.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Massacre. Head over to iTunes and Spotify. Subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And remember, join us every single Tuesday night on our Facebook page. Yours truly, Christopher Pepper, and the co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis, giving you the footy how you want it. Peace out.